Welcome back to InsideFlix. We're going to be doing our weekly box office. Rich, tell us, which films made the top 5 this past weekend?
The number one film in America is once again the Super Mario Brothers movie with $59.9 million. Coming in number 2 is Evil Dead Rise with $24.5 million. Number 3 is Guy Ritchie's The Covenant with $6.3 million. Number 4 is John Wick Chapter 4 with $5.8 million. And round out the top 5 is Dungeons and Dragons Honor Amongst Thieves with $5.5 million. Now, I should say that has just barely beat Air, which was just underneath, and it was a pretty tight race.
Okay, so at this weekend's box office, Super Mario Brothers continues to dominate. That's not really a big surprise. I think what's the surprise is that Super Mario Brothers ain't showing any signs of slowing down.
That's not really a surprise either.
Yeah, but the surprise is that it only dropped 35%. That's really low for especially
for a
the
third
week. Yeah.
It's dropped as like about 30 to 35% every weekend, right?
Yeah, which is surprisingly
low. Yeah,
surprisingly low. And there's no really big box office competition until next week when we get Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 to come out. Right. So it's gonna be on the top 5 for a very long time.
Yeah, it's very close. It's very close to reaching $1 billion already by the end of this.
It's gonna do it by this weekend.
Yeah, this is gonna be the biggest video game movie in history.
And most likely, I think after the end of its run, most likely be the biggest or the highest grossing animated film of all time.
Oh.
I could see this beating Frozen. For sure could see this beating the Toy Story franchise.
Well, yeah, I mean, definitely. If Frozen 2 is the highest grossing animated film of all time with 1.6 or 1.7 billion, yeah, I think Mario's definitely going to outgross that. I think it's going to probably get 2 billion or get very close to 2 billion, which, will make it one of the biggest movies of all time.
But let's say the Evil Dead Rise, it made $24.5 million. I think that's a little bit less than I thought, for sure.
A little lower than I was expecting, but yeah, I mean, I didn't think it was going to get quite to 30 because that's kind of what the first one did, or the last one did, I should say.
Well, any typical horror movie will open that around that. I mean, a big buzzed horror film.
But I think it's going to have good legs, man. I think it's going to stick around for a while. I think it's still doing well.
Well, and also you got to remember the budget was pretty feasible, and so it was
all in one location, right?
Yeah, I suppose, and it was kind of destined to make its money back. That is something to be positive about.
And let's not forget that it was originally supposed to be direct to HBO Max. Well, just Max now.
Yeah, and The Covenant, man. I guess more proof that Guy Ritchie should stop doing original movies. Unfortunately, Guy Ritchie, he just needs to start doing sequels. Because as much as people might crap on Aladdin or his Sherlock Holmes movies, that's what he needs right now. Because people aren't watching his original movies. He's got multiple bombs. In
the same
one
year.
after another. Yeah, in the same year, and year after year, it's nobody's watching Guy Ritchie movies. And even the actors that star in his movies, like Jason Statham, they only bomb when they're in Guy Ritchie movies now.
But look, it's a military movie that's set in Afghanistan. It's a kind of a bummer topic. I don't think people want to really see this right now. Maybe it will do better when it hits streaming. But I think at this moment, a lot of the military films coming out this year should be on their toes. I think there's almost the exact same movie coming out next month with Gerard Butler. If you're a producer on that movie, I think you gotta rethink your promotion because this is not a good sign for them.
Promote it more like a Top Gun movie.
You already just kind of a typical action film like John Wick or something. Let's talk about the rest of the top 10. Rich?
Coming in number 6 is Air. Coming in number 7 is The Pope's Exorcist. Number 8 is Renfield. Number 9 is Beau is Afraid. And number 10 is Suzumi.
Okay, so Suzumi had a huge drop, but I mean that's kind of expected with these anime movies. Those usually have a 60 and sometimes 80% drop on their second weekend. What is I kind of disappointing is that Pope's Exorcist and Renfield had this 60% drops, especially for Renfield because it did not look like a cheap movie. Pope's Exorcist, at least it made its money back, especially when you consider its worldwide box office. That movie's fine, but Renfield, man.
So before we go into new releases, let's talk about Beau is Afraid. Just expand this week to wide release, and it did 2.8. That's about what you could expect for an Ari Aster film. It's he doesn't make mainstream movies. There's an acquired taste to his movies. What's your thoughts on the film's future?
that's it. That was the future. Is they got almost 1,000 screens, and it didn't fare. It's less than 3,000 per screen, and
could have done worse though per screen average. I think the movie's still going to stick around to probably make, if it's lucky, maybe make 9 to 10 million. But man, the movie cost 30 million. So regardless, this is not good. But this is one of those movies like A24 knew they weren't going to make that money back. You know what I mean? They did this for Ari Aster. I don't know why. I guess they really thought there was some artistic merit in this movie. I haven't seen it yet. Maybe I'll watch Beau's Afraid and think it's a masterpiece. I do love Ari Aster's other 2 films, but this is not good.
Now let's look ahead to next week. Rich, tell us what movies are coming out in wide release in theaters.
Coming out in wide release is Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. This is the film adaptation of Judy Blume's classic coming-of-age book about a tween girl growing up in the suburbs of New Jersey in the 1970s. Abby Ryder Fortson stars alongside Rachel McAdams, Benny Safdie, and Kathy Bates. Also coming out in wide release is Big George Foreman. This is the new boxing biopic about the remarkable true story and comeback story of heavyweight champion turned minister turned grill master, George Foreman. Chris Davis plays Foreman, while Forrest Whitaker co-stars Foreman's longtime trainer.
Yeah, so it really seems like Super Mario Brothers is going to dominate again for the fourth week. I mean, not to say that these movies are not going to be good,
and probably for Mario, it's going to probably be another somewhere between 30 to 40% drop again.
Right. All right, now let's talk about limited release. Rich, tell us what movies are coming out in limited.
Coming out in limited release is Polite Society. This is the Sundance hit, a wacky British-Pakistani action comedy about a stunt woman in training who hijacks a wedding to rescue her younger sister from the clutches of her evil in-laws. Also coming out in limited is Sisu. This is the new ultra-violent Finnish action thriller about a treasure hunter who fights a small unit of Nazi soldiers in an effort to defend his pile of found gold. This comes from the cult genre director of Rare Exports and Big Game. And returning to theaters for its 40th anniversary is Star Wars Return of the Jedi. This is the final film in George Lucas's original Star Wars trilogy.
So yes, Rich, are you excited for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi?
From what I heard, it's not even going on IMAX screens.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the original trilogy probably like 10 years ago, or no, maybe like 20 years ago now. Yeah, that was good enough for me. I mean, if it's the original cut, I probably consider it more
with the original ending, but the Ewok song,
that and all that stuff. But yeah, that's I'm pretty sure this is the updated version, which
who cares?
More than likely, yeah.
And it really feels like a throwaway anniversary thing, right? It's just like kind of a second thought that went into this.
I mean, if they were giving out free posters, I might go.
The one movie that I think it might do well in limited release is Sisu, this Finnish action thriller that has kind of like John Wick vibes.
Yeah, and this film, I think it's got more screens than we're expecting.
Sisu actually looks like a pretty good action movie. Looks good.
All right, now let's end this episode with streaming. Rich, tell us what people could stream at home this weekend.
Streaming on Disney Plus is Peter Pan and Wendy. This is the live-action reimagining of the classic Disney animated fantasy adventure, which is inspired by J.M. Barrie's beloved children's novel. This is also from David Lowery, the visionary director of The Green Knight and Pete's Dragon. And finally coming out on Hulu is Clock. This is the new pregnancy horror that stars Diana Agron as a woman who participates in an experimental fertility clinic program.
Are you going to watch Peter Pan and Wendy this weekend, Raymond?
I haven't seen the trailer yet, so probably not.
Yeah, it's a funny that David Lowery, who's kind of a highly regarded as a visual filmmaker, especially after The Green Knight, that he gets to direct this movie, and it's going straight to streaming.
Yeah, and this stars Jude Law, so I'm kind of surprised that it didn't get a theatrical release, but Disney Plus needs something to juice up their subscription rate.
Yeah. Okay. That's it for this episode. Thank you for watching InsideFlix. We'll be back next week. We'll see how well the box office does with the new releases. And also we'll talk about the new movies coming out next week. All right. Thank you. And bye-bye, everyone.